Hello and welcome back to the RxCraft server. My name is Amaros and we have a project plan for today. We had just finished our iron farm, which is a pretty important build on any server really, but we have yet one more very important build, especially for modded servers. So let me get out there real quick. I have done a little bit of prep work and kind of got to where we're going to build it. So let me run out there real quick and we'll be right there. So we're out in the end, and as you can see, we're at Y1, building ourselves the beginnings of an Enderman farm. You can just barely see the edge of land right there. We are, I'd say, what, 155, I think it is, because this torch right here marks 150. We technically only need to be about 128 away, but 150 gave us a pretty good bit of security, and I just built out a little bit from that. We're going to do a 2-chunk spawner here. This line right here marks 1 chunk boundary between this one and this one. So I'm just filling in the floor right now. We have all these torches to prevent any kind of Enderman from spawning. And we are following King Happy's design that has been used on the RxCraft server. This one will actually spawn Endermen so fast that we won't be able to manually kill them fast enough. So I'm kind of excited about having that amount of experience in that short of time. Now, if only blazes spawn that fast, that would be nice. But we're gonna have pistons that elevate the killing platform and make it an XP farm, and then we just release the pistons. It drops down 1 block and the Enderman will die on contact if we wanted to just collect a bunch of Ender pearls. I really doubt we're going to end up needing that feature, but it'll be nice to have just in case, just for the fun of it, really. So I'm going to go ahead and finish building this platform and hopefully try not to die. As you can see, I have 21 levels, so I did manage to bucket my way down to y=1 without dying yet. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, especially since I have my inventory kind of full at the moment. So we have some extra work done. You can see over here I have my item central here where I'm storing some of the materials that we're going to use to build this. I have our 16 blocks of soul sand in place and our ladder tower. You can already see a few Endermen up there. I have our vine area and a row of pistons to help bring everything into this one wide area right here. And we're still waiting for some string. Herkenil is really doing a good job in getting that 1408 string that we're going to need. We might even need a little bit more than that, but he's got the spider spawner and basically a string farm going, so he's going to be providing that for us. But until then, I'm just working on kind of this bottom area, the chute that's going to keep the Enderman from falling sideways out of the farm, and will always land in this area here. You can see some of them are currently falling out or falling on the edge, and that's what we're trying to work out of the system. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working on this, going up all the way to that level. So I'm still cranking away on this thing. You can see we're several layers up. Let's see, we have, yeah, we're at Y60, so we still have another 80 or so Y coordinate to go. So this is going to take a while, but already we have at least 1 Enderman a second falling down to the bottom there. So we're going to get plenty of experience from this thing, plenty of Ender pearls. I think this will be a pretty good farm. I'm already kind of impressed with how it's going. We have had our first job site death. Turkanil was reworking some redstone down there for the retraction of the soul sand using pistons, and yeah, he was using a high efficiency pickaxe and accidentally hit a floor tile that caused him to fall through the world. Very, very sad setback for him since he had all of his really good gear on him. So I definitely feel for him on that one. That really, really sucks. So, public service announcement. Be sure not to wear anything vital while working in the end, especially if you're using a high efficiency pickaxe. I, unfortunately, am using my good gear, but I'm using it for some of the benefits of the enchant on it, such as Featherfall, so I don't die when I go down. But it also gives me the ability to step up a full block like this while holding shift, and see, I won't fall off. So it does help with the building process, and this thing's tight enough that my double jump doesn't really give me much advantage, except for to maybe jump from here over to these pistons here safely, you see. So that is speeding up my time a little bit because I don't have to build as much scaffolding, mainly just scaffolding like so to actually place blocks. But I'm gonna keep working on this. I think this is a project I'm gonna at least finish halfway before I move on to another tangent project. But we have enough supporting farms and things like that that I don't really have anything that's pressing to be done to support this build. Since Turkanil already has a string farm, that's pretty much the only farm that we still needed in order to build this thing with all the amounts of string that's involved in this. But I got my cobblestone generator and have a process to make these stone bricks, so we at least have a relatively nice building material for those. We have our iron farm, so we can build all of the tripwire hooks and pistons that we want. I got my quarry going, so that's kicking out a lot of cobblestone for us to build our pistons out of. And pretty much the only thing that's still kind of not farmed is the wood, but I do have a rather large assortment of trees outside of my base that I can just go and hit. I got about 5 or 6 dark oak trees, and so by the time I'm finished chopping one down with a high efficiency axe, the seedlings I have placed prior will have grown by then. So we're really not hurting for any resources for this thing, so that's pretty good. Just takes a little bit of time to get the wood, but the rest is pretty much in the pocket, so very happy. We should be able to hammer this out, get it done, even though there's like 4,000 pistons involved and 22 stacks of string. Just nasty amounts of stuff, but you know, you get what you pay for, and this one's gonna really pay for itself in spades with the number of ender pearls that we'll have to waste. Heck, I think we already have all the ender pearls we need to waste, short of just tossing them around. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep working on this. You've already seen me build now 1.5 platforms. I'm just making this little T thing so I can come out, place stone bricks here, and another set here, and I got half slabs to put out here to prevent spawning where we don't want it, like so. And then I just follow along this. Oops, gotta watch out for that. So just follow along this level here and place all of these. Prevent spawning on the backs of the pistons like so. The pistons themselves are non-spawnable positions, so that's really all there is to it. Just a whole lot of repetitiveness just doing this. As you see, I gotta put some half slabs there too. So that's what I'm doing, and probably going to be bored out of my skull by the time we reach the end, but it'll be well worth it. So there was one component to each level that I had forgotten to build, and that was the strafe protection here. So it just comes out in kind of a L shape there, 3 pieces for each of the spawning platforms. So this one comes out this way, the one below comes out that way, and it's level with the top, so it's a top block. And you can see, if I look down at the side here, all of the ones that I went back down and redid, because it's actually pretty easy. You just jump down a couple floors through your mesh here. The pistons won't push you off if you hit at an angle, because this one will pop out and you'll be over here. So then I just go up and place the top one above me and place the bottom one. Actually, I do the bottom one first and then the one above me, and then I go down 2 more through here and do the next one. But if you're doing it as you're building it, then it makes it pretty easy. You can just build it right here as you go up. So I'm gonna keep going. Thought I'd let you know about that so you don't miss it too. Oh, and yes, you do want to build it out on each side. Let's see. So it makes kind of this U shape here, and then this spawning platform will come out this way. So we have reached the top. We are currently standing at 126.5. That's 127. Turcanil brought us up our last 8 pistons because I was just 8 shy. We were 56 tripwire hooks over and some half slabs, but we're good. I got it all capped off with some half slabs here, doubled up the half slabs here, put some on top of here and on the back side there. So this is the top of our farm. We don't have to worry about completely enclosing it for aesthetics, because guess what? You won't be able to see it. Yeah, that's how tall this thing is. That's our path back to the end. So we are done up here. I am going to go down, and we're going to have to plan out our redstone. Let's see if we can make it down at a reasonable speed there. Alright. Catching these ladders is nice. Lots of noise. So we're going to work out how we want to encapsulate this. Right now it's in just pearl mode. We got a cache on the side here to take everything. That can hold up to 640,000 pearls, which will be more than enough for our needs. So we're going to work out any additional redstone. Maybe we want to take it back to the portal and spit it back to spawn and catch it there. With how much we can store here, it really won't make a difference. Let's turn this off here. Hostile creatures, there we go. So we're gonna see if we want to add any more redstone to it. Right now it's just a hopper chain. Figured I would fix our bridge a little bit. Instead of having that 1 wide channel with the roof on it, I actually made it 3 wide and put these little guardrails on the side. And right now I'm just kind of decorating it with a little bit of color here. We're using this nice dark blue color because I haven't had a chance to use it yet, and it is a really nice color. I used orange for the iron farm, so I figured blue would work here. I'll probably use a lot of red in my base, so we don't want to use that. I was debating using a green color, but there's lime green and that nice little forest dark green color. But neither of those really work with the ender pearls, and black for Enderman, but it'd probably blend in with that purple haze in the background too well. So figured blue would be a nice alternative. Looks like I might have to come back with some extra wool. But you can see our little farm here. We've been kind of working on the redstone here. Turkinil had been working a little bit here to get our lever to work kind of like a button, but a little better. This just has a better on-off kind of feel to it. And he actually got this back area here added. We extended this out just a little to hit here in the right spot. And I got a little bit of a change down here from what we had. Moved a repeater over to here so we can extend this out long enough that when we flip the button, all of our Endermen die as they should. So works out pretty well for us to switch between XP and Ender Pearl farming mode. So just had to get that proper delay right to pulse this top and bottom at the right intervals. I know the tutorial had some redstone that does it with a dropper and some items in a chest and such, and we really didn't need a T flip-flop if we could accomplish the same thing with just a couple of channels off of it. So we felt that would be a better alternative. So we made that instead. Turkaniel wants to go ahead and do the building that's around the base there, and he's got some pretty good design skills, so we're gonna see what he comes up with on that one. But I'm just kind of getting the bridge nice and safe to be traveled on frequently, as I know we're going to be coming out here quite often. It's been a couple of days, and Turkaniel has actually worked on our Ender farm just a little bit. It's not finished yet, and I kind of hesitate to show you, but it does look pretty good on the inside. You can kind of see the structure we have around the base here, and when we get in, you can see a lot of work has been put into this design. We have our quite clear glass, so we got this nice transparent view of all of those Endermen just dropping down and landing right here. All their stuff going right into the hoppers. Plenty and plenty of experience for when we want to farm this. But you can just see loads and loads of them just coming out. But you can see it's quite illuminated in here, and that's because a few of these, like this one here, are actually enlightened clear glass. That is something that we get by combining some pulverized glowstone with our glass, and it's obviously a mod item, but it actually works really well. You can't really see that it's illuminating, or it's actually very transparent as well. But there's a little hole here. But you can see he's actually doing some quartz slab above here. It's all too high, so it won't actually have any Enderman spawn in here, but the light level will actually keep them from spawning as well. But you can see we got the shape of an Ender Pearl here. We didn't quite have the right colors, and so it's a very, very approximated design, but you can see what it is. It's a pretty nice Ender Pearl going here. You can see all the wool we got from our little wool farm that we built a few episodes ago. I've just been kind of AFKing all night at those sheep there, so we have loads and loads and loads of wool, and we're going to use it for builds just like this. We have our anvils here in the corner. We have a direct tap to our iron farm, so if we ever run out of anvils, we can just quickly craft a new one with our little crafting bench here. And this is how we get our Ender Pearls out to our base. They just go into our little cache here, get piped into our little Ender chest here, and this is the Ender IO, or Ender storage Ender chest. So we got our little color codes here, and we can make as many of these to tap in here as we want, and it's not tied to a particular player, but instead to a color code. So we can pipe objects in and out of them, unlike the stock Ender chests, which are not able to be interacted with. We have our little redstone stuff here in the back, and it's doing pretty well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes. I'm sure that we might have something really nifty to see here on the backside or something, and we'll have to figure out what to do with this extra part of the chunk here that I blocked out for us. But it's looking really promising, and I'm really liking how this is coming out. Alright, we are back at the base, and the thing I wanted to show you, I have thrown a couple of convenience items in here. These are travel anchors that work with our little staff of traveling device, and you can see I got one over here, one over there, and we just right click and it teleports us to the device. So that just saves me from having to run around and explore my base, you know. So kind of a little bit of a time saver. We just pop around. We got our little villager trading center here. But the thing I wanted to show you is I modified the cactus farm a little bit. Apparently this design is not going to work as soon as 1.8 comes into our world, but until then I'm going to take full advantage of it. All that we do is have our little bit of vine holding up our sand block with a cactus sitting on top of it, and you get the vine there just by building a sand pillar right here, 3 tall. You put vines here on this spot, then you put another block of sand here which won't fall down because the vines are blocking it, and then you take out the block up here and where this cactus is, and it flips the vines up underneath this sand block, and then you can place your cactus here and move up here and keep building. Now we don't really need cactus, let alone a lot of it, so I didn't really go hog wild on this farm. We just made it 3 tall, and I think that'll give us plenty of cactus for our needs, or lack thereof. I did have to modify the rows a little bit. Instead of being 4 rows of 4, I had to stagger the rows, so we now only have 3 on this row and this row. But we get plenty to make up for it above here, and this is just kind of the most efficient way to stack. And then under all this orange wool we have hoppers, because we have an iron farm now and can afford it. But I couldn't really get water streams to work very well under here because of the grid pattern. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I don't want to make 3 levels worth of water flows or worse. So I guess we could have done hoppers down the middle and flushed in with 2 layers of water or something, but I just went and made a bunch of hoppers. They come into a little pipe that feeds up into our cache, and it just stores it for us. On this side, we do have something else that's exciting going on. We have our carrots up top, and we have wheat on the bottom, and we have our machines that actually do all of this for us, fortunately. Looks like we got 1,100 wheat now, since I just built this last night. So we have a cache for seeds, a cache for our carrots, and a cache for our wheat. We actually feed iron into here to make hose, and they come through our item pipe that also feeds back out to our caches here, but it'll bring the hose in and deposit them into our farming stations. That's an Ender IO item, and I got 2 of them, one above and below, and they actually have the max upgrade they can get as far as capacitors are concerned. And with these octadics, they'll actually go out 1 more row than this, but I think this is a pretty good size as it is. But it'll actually wait till these all grow properly, and as each square matures, it'll actually harvest it and replant it. The harvested goes into this area here that you can see is shadowed with wheat and wood, and as you can see, it also takes durability for the iron hoe, but it stores the seeds here, grows the harvest in here, which gets sucked out because we have it in a push-pull configuration, and it goes into our carrots. We don't have any item filters in here since these caches won't take anything except for the item on the front. So it kind of filters it for us. And we have kind of the same thing down here with the wheat. We have a bunch of seeds and it has the spot for the wheat to come out. And I actually set this up for wood as well. We have out here by our village a nice spot of dark oak, since that seems to be the most efficient for the space. As you can see, it makes all of these blocks of wood, and I had a whole lot of axes that I had mistakenly made, and so I had to feed them in this hackish way. But let's go ahead and do it the real way. And you can see we have a bunch of resources here in our auto workbench. This is actually a BuildCraft item, I believe. And it just slowly makes the items, and it'll fill up into our hopper and back up and then stop making the items, since there won't be any more room in the hopper to stick it. And as you can see, it takes quite a bit of durability to chop down an entire tree. But then our farming station uses these seeds to go ahead and replant the saplings for us, and it waits for the tree to grow again. So it's a little bit more automated than a bone meal farm with the oak trees, but as you can see, it's a little more expensive in some ways, especially since these farming stations take like 2 or 3 diamonds to make, as well as iron and such. So, and it also expends the iron resource to make the axes. But we are using mods, and it's kind of fun to make these little automated devices here. And when it chops the wood, it throws it into our tesseract, which sends it back to our processing assembly line plant thing in there, and it sends it through a sawmill and gives us plenty of wood that goes into a cache. And it also draws its power from here as well. That's the same power source that our quarry uses, so I might have to up the output on that. But I think it only uses the power, when it actually expends by chopping or whatever, so it just gives a momentary blip to the amount of power going to our quarry, and our quarry seems to have a pretty good buffer anyway, so it's not really that big of a concern just yet. And I made this little special chest here that we can just throw the remainers like that into, because it chops so much wood, especially if all of these are spawned like they were and it didn't have an axe. There's just not enough room here to store all of that wood, and so I can't pick it all up. So I've made this little chest here that also feeds in on the bypass. So that's kind of what I've been doing, just kind of biding my time a little bit, trying to think of what project to build next. And just those farming stations have really no document. I think an Enderman stole our dirt. Oh well. So the farming stations really have no documentation out there right now, because they are a new beta item, and they seem to be working very well in our current beta version, and I'm quite pleased with them. And I actually think the push-pull is actually reversed on them. If you notice when I showed you, I had the push actually being on the blue side, which is where the seeds are, and the pull, no, other way around. The push was on, the seeds were what seemed to be pushing out to the pipe and pulling in where the harvested items were. It works properly, it just is color coded and worded kind of weird. So if that got reversed, it'll be perfect. I haven't really had any problems with it at all. They've been working very well for me, so I'm quite happy that those are in Ender.io. We could get some extra mods like the machining one that actually has farming blocks as well, but I don't want to really go hog wild with the mods, because you get too much of a good thing and you just don't know what to do, or you can do it 16 different ways and that each way has its own pluses and minuses. I don't know. I'm probably still going to make a bone meal wood farm just because I like doing vanilla type things as well, so it's more applicable to like Xbox users that have to play vanilla, or you guys that are watching that are playing vanilla and want to know how to do some of this stuff in your world. I want to try to keep as vanilla as possible, and this whole thing here is just a bunch of automations so that I can have enough resources to do what I want to do, rather than having to spend all of my time strip mining in our mine. That's just not fun after 3 or 4 months of just digging away. So yeah, that's why we are using our quarry quite extensively and these caches just to store all this. But I will try to do a lot of vanilla things just so you guys can really have something that applies to you if you don't play with these exact set of mods that we have. So I hope you like that and appreciate it, and I do my best to do what you guys like and throw in the comments. So definitely continue to comment on these videos and say what you'd like to see, things that you'd like me to try. I'm getting better with redstone. I can kind of work out based on flaws in a current design or something like that. I can kind of figure out what's going on and be able to fix it. I'm still working on the whole come up with something new, because there is just so much stuff out there already that there's many different ways to do what you want. So if you come up with any ideas, something you'd like to see, by all means let me know and I'll see about getting it made for you. But I'll climb off my little soapbox for now, and thank you for watching this episode. It's been a little longer than it should have been, but we've had some great fun. I did clip a lot for the Ender farm, but it's a lot of repetitiveness, and I don't think you would have been too interested in watching a huge time lapse of that. But thank you for watching. Please hit that like button if you have liked this episode, and do subscribe so you can get a notification when we release our next video, and be sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching and have a good evening.